So there was a chat in one of the super special staff channels in Smogon recently. One of the things that actually got brought up was Dynamax last gen. And how people kind of thought that maybe, hey, should have been given more of a chance in singles. Now, I think that's just a delusional take, grounded in no sort of reality. Dynamax is not at all reasonable for singles, and I think that some people just need to remember they don't play competitive Pokemon, and therefore they don't know what they're talking about. Anyhow, all jokes aside, it made me think about my favorite mechanics. And I've always responded that Mega Evolution is my favorite mechanic. This is, of course, it's not even a lukewarm take. This take is frozen solid, been in the freezer for years, preserved very kindly, very effectively, because Megas are just cool. They're new Pokemon. And a lot of time, yeah, they just make otherwise shitmons a little bit better. Now, sometimes that didn't work. See that Abomasnow here is gonna Mega Evolve into Mega Abomasnow and still be NU. But it's just really, really cool. Also, of course, some of them gain some really cool interactions. So like where Mega Abomasnow is literally just still a snow warning guy who wall breaks, you had like Mega Absol who gained magic bounce as well, actually got a really cool ability, became some form of like offensive hazard control. Not that it was, really utilized to be hazard control, but it gained another function, and I find that really cool. And today I'm going to show y'all why Mega Abomasnow is really damn good. The title of the video made me kind of confused by how I'm calling it underrated if it's NU, and people are adequately respecting it nowadays. Well, I don't think they're respecting it enough, so I lied. They're not adequately doing it. Leave a like, subscribe if not already subscribed. I want to hit 10k subs, and I think that everyone watching right now should subscribe. It's free. You don't have to pay money to subscribe. Just do it. You can also click my Advanced GG affiliate link. Go buy some Joey Juice while you're there. Helps me out. Anyhow, first game we got today between FC and Fellaburn. These are two very, very established players in SM. And Fellaburn may be a little bit longer of a tenure than FC, but I do believe over the recent years, FC's like super solidified himself as one of the top few players in the meta. And in this game, he's rolled what I like to call the God matchup for Mega Abomasnow. You've rolled against slow team. Oh my lordy. Now, there's some caveat to saying slow like that. This mon is adding new definition to slow, so Guzz, even though it's slow, is still faster. But it's threatened by Blizzard. Steelix literally can't do anything to you. Heavy Slam is, I think, if you're Giga Draining it, it's not even like a 4-hit KO. Comfy, it'd have to be HP Fire, and that's super rare. Doesn't really come into the slow thing, but talks about, still counterplay. Blastoise is just fodder for you. Garbodor, it takes over half from Blizzard. Gunk Shot, I don't even think one-shots in return. And if it's offensive, well, it's taking more than a little over half. They have to be specially defensive really to do anything against this standard mixed / specially offensive Mega Abomasnow. And of course, Arrow's good offensive counterplay. The issue is always going to be our hazards up, and if the Mega Abomasnow has Ice Shard on its set. So I do really like this Abomasnow angle. On the flip side, I think Fellaburn rolled about as good of a comfy matchup as you're ever going to find, because it's Steelix and Incineroar. So Hidden Power Ground will be Hidden Power Grounding. The Incineroar as well is pretty effectively pressured by the Guzzlord. The Steelix is very effectively pressured by the Aerodactyl. So I believe that's probably the win con for Felly. Shouts to Mewmore. I love Unknown. It's such a cool Pokemon. And we see FC get a nice little U-turn right off rip, just immediately punishing the Guzzlord for deciding to want to play the game. And that knock on Steelix, I mean, hey, this is one of the things that Fellaburn has to satisfy long-term. Weaken a Steelix, a knock is a great way to do it when you've also got an Aerodactyl on your team. Damage now will be sticking. And also, FC giving Scald damage on Incineroar just for a knock on the Stoiz is very, very curious. Because, again, now both your checks are super vulnerable to Comfy. Essentially now, Comfy Hidden Power grounds the Steelix a single time, and next time it Calm Minds up, the game is like almost lost. You still got Arrow. Technically, full HP Aerodactyl could still check Comfy. It won't die to Draining Kiss, and it can pop it in the mouth with a Z move, but it's getting really bleak. The Stoiz does kill off the Guzz here, though. Sludge Bomb doing essentially nothing because it's not Specs Guzzlord. We saw Dragonium Z get used very effectively into Comfy. This could also always just refresh later if it really needs. We also see the Stoiz stay in here. because FC recognizes the hole he dug himself into. Once a Toxic on Comfy unfortunately misses, and then gets his soul read by the Comfy. HP ground, which was just always easy to justify there, because, well, it would have killed this anyway. You may as well cover all bases. So now rocks are up. But I mean, I don't love the position all for FC. Now, I do love it here, where you get free Abomasnow in. And we see what I talked about earlier, Blizzard doing a crisp 53 to this Garbodor, and with Hail up, not Snow, this thing will be taking a ton of chip over the following turns. T-Spike going up is good for Veli for sure, with the Stoys being essentially dead anyway. But is it enough? Is it enough to set up the game for Comfy? We'll see. Rocks are going to go up here because Veli does not think the arrow is a threat at all. That crit's a little annoying, admittedly, but it's not a game breaker, and you still have Stoys at enough HP to answer to the Dactyl. So it's not all bad. And as long as Abomasnow doesn't have literally 27 turns to free fire, surely it'll be fine. Unfortunately, the Abomasnow is about to get 27 turns to free fire because you have lost your one pivot into it. Garb was a one-time pivot. No, let's let him cook. Let him cook. So Giga Drain kills the Stoys there. He had that was like the least relevant mon for his win chances, so he sacks it. Dactyl versus Dactyl's funny because they could definitely just go for speed ties here. But Feli decides to switch because he does have a Steelix, which, I mean, yeah, it could still pivot into Dactyl just fine. We do see it wasn't actually never banded Arrow here, so I feel like there was a turn earlier. Yeah, no, it was the Dactyl sequence. Technically, this could have Stone Edged, though I don't even know why I'm bringing that up. It literally switched into the aerial, so yeah, no shit, he could have. Where was it here? Yeah, it was right here after the EQ chip. Mega Bomba comes out, Giga Drains the Licks, and the game is not looking too good for Fellaburn at this point. Comfy's able to switch in here. He does have to HP ground pretty quickly, though, if he wants to kill the Licks, and he didn't on the switch. So now it just kind of dies after getting chipped. So your only hope is Aerodactyl. And we still don't know if this is banded yet. I don't think, at least, it was ever confirmed. We'll pretend it was confirmed it used Aerial Ace. What am I lying to you about? And this Ice Shard crit potentially mattered a bit, but I don't think it did because I believe I know my Comfy calcs, and this mon was dying to the Draining Kiss anyway. But hey, I mean, if FC misclicked and went for Calm Mind, maybe then you could have done some. I don't know. I'm just kind of trolling at this point. Mega Abomasnow, though, putting in a ton of work that game, effectively chunking out the Garb, trading versus the Licks when it needed to, and pretty much once the Guzz went down, which I know it's a weird mon to mention, it's just kind of how the battle went, though. And again, it was one of the few Pokemon that was faster and actually could threaten the Abomasnow with big damage. Once that went down, there really wasn't a ton Feli had. Especially with Garb taking that chip, it becomes really hard to pivot around that Snowman. And as we see in this next game too, this is a hard matchup. This time FC's on the opposite side of this Snowman, and his team, it's not that it's ill-equipped, it's just Incineroar as a defensive check to Snowman is not going to cut it long-term. You're gonna have hazards up, especially this game, it looks like. I mean, I just do not believe in Poo Poo Valley to keep hazards off against a Steelix. This mon will switch into you repeatedly, it will get its rocks up. You also have to deal with the Absol and Delphox both putting a lot of pressure on this Incineroar. Even Absol to trap a potential AV Slowking, which otherwise would, yeah, check that standard set we just saw used in the previous game. On the flip side, I mean, I feel like Sigil's pretty solid here. The only caveat is the Absol, and we will see that Absol gives some issues long-term to FC in this game. Absol in general kind of puts in a lot of work, because you're always going to be able to at least get a knock on both of these dudes, even though they check you. And that's just solid progress for what it does for the rest of your team. Chip on Licks is admittedly less important, but Chip on the Incineroar opens up so much for Ming's team. Let's see how it goes. So we get Dactyl versus Carl Weezer turn 1. Mr. Weezer decides to set up a T-Spike. Now, at preview, I did not think this T-Spike was that huge, because on this type of team, you could pretty much pencil in a Silvally Poison for this slot, because you need a Fighting Resist. At least I think you do, because I'm like almost solid, or almost sold on that being AV King from preview. As you can see, it was not AV King. is just to get, I see the Valley, I'm like, okay, you don't need to be Fizz Def setup. I get, it's just so good, right? But Poison Valley is also the better of the non-steel variants for utility stuff. And you know it's going to be Utility Valley always on this team. Anyhow, the King uses Calm Mind, so disregard what I said about that. And we also end up seeing later on, yeah, that thing can't absorb T-Spike. We see a very unfortunate Valley type. But the Abomasnow comes out now. Slowking with this Calm Mindset doesn't really have a way to do anything to Abomasnow. So this is just a free Mega Evolution. Go for a Giga. Get your little Chippy Chip. And with all of Hail, T-Spike, and of course Giga Drain damage, Instant just damn near lost half its health in one turn. Oh, and with the help, there you go. Now well over half. So it's gonna get its berry here, of course. Now you're like, oh, it didn't lose any HP at all. I promise you. And its Incineroar at 73% is not what you want to see once the berry is consumed. So Carl Weezer goes for a Pain Split here. He's going to have to switch now into probably Steelix if I had to assume. I lied to you though, because Absol came out on a Heat Wave, took 1 billion. And I don't know here if FC just disrespected the threat of Scarf Sigil, or Scarf Absol, or if he lost a 50-50, thinking that it wouldn't suit here. Probably... It's kind of hard to say what the thought process is. I think it's just, yeah, I think it's probably more lost to 50-50 on Suit, because you do have a lot of mons that could switch in and cover for your Sigilif, so yeah, Suit looks likely. Suit didn't come out, yeah. This is what I'm talking about, by the way, unfortunate Valley typing. So Valley Fairy with default Parting Shot comes out, and I think the logic on FC's team here is that his team, maybe he doesn't like the Scrafty matchup? That was really the only, like, line of thought I could come up with. Or maybe, like, Pangoro, even. He wanted to check to, like, the Dark Fighters. Like, Scrafty I don't think really is ever running you over, but maybe you're scared of missing Air Slash for Sigilif, and then, Scrafty being bulk up and Arrow not being able to kill it? That's why I think Goro maybe is the more likely mon you'd be worried about, because admittedly, this 5 gets run down by Pangoro. So if you've got a Silvally Fairy, you could at least beat it down with the multi-attack and win that way. Psyshock Slowking, by the way, very uncommon. Normally, nowadays, what you see is Psychium Z with Future Sight, but that's also on nasty plot sets, so perhaps you think, okay, I Calm Mind up, and now I feel more comfortable trading damage versus, like, Heliolisk, and so you just go for Psyshock. Plus, of course, it lets you throw a Z move on something else. On this team, I think you kind of just have to assume it's the Dactyl in that case that's holding Z. Nothing else really would hold one. So, anyhow, Abomasnow once again gets out. I do think that you probably just have to make a lot more aggressive plays at this point if you're FC, because the slow roll isn't gonna work anymore. And as you can see too, here's what I was talking about earlier. Steelix takes way too much from Giga, and you're setting rocks there. I understand. You're looking for something to let you come back in this game. Like, this is just not convincing me that you're winning a 1v1. I do think it may be a 4-hit KO with Slam, but obviously Giga Drain does upwards of 40, so it's never manifesting. And as we see here, Ming is indeed a scholar with the Ice Shard, popping the Aerodactyl in the mouth, and the game is Jove. Another Snowman sweep. Now, this game you may see there's no Snowman. There's actually not one in any of the other games. There is a Mega Glalie, though. Mega Glalie is very cool. I just want to show those 2 games for Snowman. I also just wanted to showcase throughout this episode. I guess it's an episode, but this video, the omnipresence of Aerodactyl. Nowadays, I think a lot of people are considering Dactyl to be #1 in the tier, as opposed to Incineroar, who has held that claim. God, I can't speak. It's held that title, I should say, for many years. And yeah, I think it's finally getting dethroned by the stupid bird. This mon... You could throw Dactyl on literally any team, dude. I almost showed an Eternally Stall team this week. I didn't realize that was against my, better interests to show Stall. But let it be known, he brought an Aerodactyl. He also brought a Bronzor and a, Altaria. Do with that info as you will. Now this game, Siri and SM is always interesting to see. And I say that because the dude brings some very cracked out teams. In this game, you see a Masquerain and a Golurk. Keeping in mind, this is before this Pokemon got Poltergeist, You also see a non-Silvally Steel. This is before multi-attack was buffed to 120 power. And I mean, like, I don't know. I look at this build and I'm thinking it's webs, because why else would you use Masquerain, which then kind of makes sense for a lot of these mons. It's just, why is there a Vaporeon? A Silvally? I mean, even like Togedemaru, I guess it could be Bandit. I feel like we see that like ever so often, but it's kind of a meh set. And Maru's just brought the most standard Toge size team of all time. Just nothing interesting here going on, at least from previews. This is just what's the there's a word, meat and potatoes. That's the phrase. It's a phrase, I guess, not a word. It's like the standard meat and potatoes SM build, which maybe it's not anymore. People don't love you running this, and this gets melted by like Mega Glalie and to an extent Mega Obama, but and Pyroar. But no, you got the insurance for Pyroar. Never mind. But it's still a very reliable type of team to run. Also, one of the few Seismitoad uses, I hadn't really talked about this at all through the videos I'd done for SMNU, and we have another one here. Seismitoad has not been getting a lot of usage, at least in the early weeks. That may have changed. I need to look at usage stats. But yeah, very interesting. Anyhow, enough yapping. Siri's team, don't assume any normal sets. That's never helpful against Siri. Anyhow, this Aerodactyl goes for its Z Sky Attack and just crits the Golurk. I don't actually think the crit mattered, by the way, but it probably did because Golurk's not that. It definitely mattered, what am I saying? So that's a great crit. Golurk looked a little bit annoying from preview, even though it's a Golurk without Poltergeist. U-turn on the pass here with the Toge, though. Victory comes out, and we see Life Orb Passimian. I've seen Bandit, I've seen Scarf, I've even seen Bulk Up plus Breakneck Blitz. Yep, Zika Impact. Life Orb Pass, not something I thought I'd see today. Now Masquerain switches in. I think this is him acknowledging, yeah, if I'm webs, I ain't getting them up. Not happening this game. T-Wave comes out, probably just in case this wanted to Quiver Dance up. So now you don't have to worry about that being a problem. Pump on the Instant is hilarious there, probably just covering for the Aerodactyl maybe switching in as the Masquerain faints. But honestly, in a Xatu matchup, it did more than I thought it would. Z-Celebrate Vaporeon revealed here. The unfortunate part is that this Togedemaru is just faster and has Nuzzle. So now the name of the game is find a way to not lose to the boosted Vapo. Because even though it's paralyzed, it still could definitely do some damage. A Blitz comes out because it's marginally stronger than Knockoff, I guess. And then there's a Dodge and any superpowers, but then there's a full pair on the Vapo. So this Incineroar got a ton of good fortune there, whereas the Vaporeon got literally over 50% of its HP when it should have gotten like 20. It's enough for Aero to reliably kill it. I think actually without the full para and the dodge, the Incineroar does nothing, and then I think that Vapo probably claims another soul as well, because Aero's gonna have to come out and look for like a Stone Edge crit. There's a real chance that game was over. Huh. Anyhow, Drain Punch Passimian. It will be doing damage. Knock here is very free though, unfortunately. Siri didn't click it. I guess Knock isn't that free though, because Size definitely lives it, so you want to make sure you don't allow it to stay in Greed. Good pivot here though by Maru on the predicted Gunk Shot, also knowing Knock would not kill. And an EQ at this point of the game is also just super free. So Valley Poison gets 2-tapped. He does switch here because you just don't know yet if it's Scarf Togedemaru or not. Maybe the U-turn damage has revealed what its set is, but given that Maru switched, I think we can safely say it is a Scarf Toge on this exotic build. And of course the burn on the Toge will seal this game. Just about. Technically you could get like crit flinched down with your Seismitoad, and even then I'm not sure that you lose, because I don't know if at 60% you die to burned Toge. I'm thinking you probably have a roll to die at least, but maybe live. I don't care enough to calc, let's be honest. Then the Dactyl comes out, kills off the Passimian. L-Rap. But this game ended up almost being a disaster. Despite the Nuzzle on that Vapo, I definitely think this monk could have done some bullshit, which is insane to even think about. Now we got Ishtar versus Fellowburn. Ishtar not had like the best tournament in terms of winning. At least I think I'm remembering that correctly. Regardless, I think she's brought some very fun teams. Very good teams as well. One of the reasons Pyro actually sees usage, which is very cool. And, I mean, like I mentioned not too long ago, there's a Mega Glalie, so you could talk about one of the other three, or one of the other two. I mean, Mega Evolution's allowed in Sun and Moon Inu. Mega Glalie is obviously similar to Mega Abomasnow, except you have worse coverage, but you're a lot faster, and you can set spikes. So, fits on offensive teams pretty nicely, and still, you know, has a lot of that same Incineroar punishing potential, maybe opening up the game for a teammate that needs the Incin weakened. And if we're looking at Glalie games, it's pretty good in this matchup. I mean, the Incineroar only can switch into you so many times, right? And if you're able to get hazards up, it does not become good. This also, I feel like, is a game where if you're going to be able to set hazard with Dawn and keep them up, yeah, it feels pretty likely. Rotom's the defogger, and although it can go for Wisp on you, Stone Edge still does 1 billion to Rotom. So, I think there's plenty of outplay potential for Ishtar's side. I do like the Breaking Power of Glalie. Sigilif looks insane this game, though. There's no Dark type. There's no Pursuit unless it's like Pursuit Rhydon, which doesn't even Pursuit Trap Sigil unless it's like Specs. So, and it has to lock into a bad move. Like, yeah, you've got 3 months faster, but Sigil isn't going to get one-shot by Whimsicott. It's not even necessarily one-shot by Togedemaru. It is worse odds than a coin flip for Zingzap to kill Sigil from full. And of course, Mega Glalie, well, you do have an Incineroar on your team. You aren't, as long as that one's alive, you don't feel like you're getting absolutely reamed. It definitely is a game that's going to require some careful play to not get run down by this stupid bird, man. Anyhow, King's led off with, and after seeing this damage come out from the King, I immediately knew this was defensive Slowking. If it was AV, it's going to have near max special attack most of the time, and Scald would do plenty to this Rotom. And seeing Dragon Tail also tells me that its last move is going to be Slack Off. So we've seen a little bit more of this set in recent months, or years even. Probably more like months, though. I don't think it's been that long. Slack Off with the Future Sight Dragon Tail combo. Oh, by the way, Tinted Lens Sigilif. Yeah. You may think the Slowking took that hit well enough to check it the entire game. I promise you, you're not ready for the other moves it's going to show you. King can also easily eat that knock, since it got Colbur, and you just trade off a ton of damage on the Incin. This all goes to open up the game for your Mega Glalie very phenomenally, and even more so once the Incineroar reveals that it was Fight Z. So it is offensive Incin. It does not check this Glalie whatsoever, and Ishtar capitalizes out immediately. Goes for an EQ here because you literally don't. Oh wait, she dodged. I was gonna say goes for EQ because you don't have to predict, but I mean, yeah, this works too. Double Edge may have even killed Incin for all I know. It's at 39, dude. 39 at its offensive EVs. I don't know. It may have died. Toad punishing Toad. Name a more iconic interaction. Now Ishtar's Toad gets a U-turn on out into Glalie here because there's nothing the size can do to scare it. And I just get the free fire once again. Freeze Dry, though, came out because it would have one-shot size. And yeah, no use in getting a ton of recoil on you because this is almost certainly an Iron Barb's Togedemaru as well. Now the Golbat comes out on the Seismitoad here, just looking to defog away the hazard. And unfortunately now, this is what I mean, Psychic. This is a Tinted Lid Sigilif, guys. Simon does not have like real switch-ins unless you have a Dark type. This is also what I meant by it loaded like the God matchup. There's just nothing that switches in. And then you even get a nice outplay there by Felly, staying in, cooking the shit out of that Glalie with a Psychic. It lived, but doing 1 million. Now, unfortunately for Felly, 1 million was not enough. It had 1,000,001 HP left, so it does KO in return with a Freeze Dry. And now, this is where you kind of see Felly's team, I think, start to have some question marks about it. And I only say that in regards to it not having a dedicated, like, win con. A lot of this team, I feel, is just, you hope Sigilif wall breaks well enough for Scarf Togedemaru. Same with, like, Incineroar. Maybe you're relying on Incin to chip down at the Seismitoads of the world. But it does make it a little bit harder, because it's like, okay, well, how am I winning? I don't really have a mon that, from the preview, I have a great game plan for, maybe? Other than just, again, break and hope that the Scarfer wins. And Togedemaru is going to kind of struggle, too, in this mirror, because anytime you want to attack, you got to deal with Mr. Barbicles. Mr. Barbicles? I don't know what that word is. But yeah, you got to deal with the opposing Toad, which can be a little bit annoying. Also, Bloom Doom Whimsicott here, very powerful, just shreds the Toad. Yeah, I mean, I'll be real. I think he just didn't go into Toad because he knows that it's like the only mon that looks like it can really win. Maybe his Whimsicott could, but it's a little bleak as long as the opposing Toad's alive. And yeah, the Bloom Doom's to cover if the if the Toad does come out there. Would have killed. Blocking Defog there is hilarious. It doesn't matter though because the Incineroar is offensive like we said earlier. So Moonblast from Whimsicott easily kills it from that range. Ishtar then wins a speed tag, gets another kill. And of course, last mon Togedemaru will never win because there's an Iron Barbs Tog on the other side. Ishtar would always be able to just immediately switch it in if she needed. And yeah, Barbs will make sure this just can't win. It wouldn't matter even if you got max roll crit every turn in a row versus it. You literally don't kill it quickly enough. It's like your ass better be reversal, and in reveal, you better be fling Salicberry hidden item with reversal. Oh god, anyhow, last game here. Now, I want to show this one because Santu's been on an absolute roll this tournament. I'm pretty sure he's undefeated. He might be 6-0 across all the tiers he's played. And I just thought it's worth showcasing that. Also, because Pangoro is a broken motherfucker. Broken in the sense of me wanting to just use it to label good mons. And of course, well, Metallica brought the only Pyroar usage of the video, so hey. Gotta fit in a game where we talk about Pyroar, because the mon is quite cool. Very good mon. And this game is kind of a good showcase of how absurdly good Pangoro can be. Now, admittedly, I think Metallica kind of misplays at a point, but I get why the misplay happened in a sense. You'll see what I mean later on. Goro's great though, of course, because it's actually relatively fast this game. You outspeed 4 of the 6. And if it's Lumberry Goro, you have insane pressure this game. Because the Wheezing can't even Scald Burn you. Wisp Burn you. The Stoys can't Scald Burn you. I know I said it outspeeds the Stoys. It doesn't, but like, I think you know what I mean, right? It's just another slow passive mon that doesn't really threaten you with significant damage. So then the only mons faster are Arrow and Pyroar, and Arrow's not a check at all because you have Bullet Punch. So if you Sword Stance up, this mon just dies. Literally, like, really the only check is offensively pressuring it the entire game with Arrow and having Pyroar. Obviously, it has to be careful where its Sword Stance is, because if you try and boost against Wheezing, you're just gonna get Wisped twice over, and it's not gonna work. But you could definitely go for it on the Licks, and you're gonna have plenty of positioning in against the Licks with the help of this Togedemaru. And if we're looking for things from Metallica's side, I mean, I do think Pyroar is really strong this game. Specs just throws off Overheat whenever it wants. And if it's like Z-move, you can always throw Protect on there and just get extra insurance against any Pursuit Aerodactyl shenanigans. Taunt turn 1 actually ends up working here. I was very surprised it did. I thought if you're Santu, you just always Shadow Ball, personally, but, you know, nothing wrong with trying to Hazards up immediately either. And then he gets the momentum on the Licks anyway, and Palisade comes right back out, so I mean, what do I know? He also gets a lot of damage off on Steelix early. This, of course, great for the Aerodactyl and Togeas. Potentially opens up, you know, late game situations where those can be what win you the game instead of the Goro. And, you know, now we're going to see the most standard SM-NU interaction of all time. Rocks up on each side, Blastoise versus Blastoise, flailing about for a couple turns. Nothing worth seeing there. They spin away the rocks. Stoys throws off a Toxic. We all know this is not going to stay on that Scrafty for much more than a couple turns. As now the Palisade comes out. I was gonna say to check the Scrafty. I feel like maybe it was to reposition on a predicted drain or just to eat the knock and it double into like Arrow. Unfortunately, the Pyro comes out and it actually reveals its Bloom Doom here, which is not used. It might be a relic of that. We need to update the Pyroar analysis on site though, because I think it actually has Gracium Z, which at the time that analysis was written, nobody used Pyroar. So admittedly, it was kind of just ass in the eyes of many. And so we were like, okay, well, Gracium Z sounds fine enough as a lure. Yeah, nowadays you see specs, you see like Firium Z, Darkium Z even is good. I've used that. The crit more than likely mattered. Oh, by the way, this is where I meant Metallica definitely makes a huge misplay there. Throwing away the Pyroar here is just, ugh, yeah. Because you're never threatening to actually Oko the Pangoro with even Fire Blast. It's just not going to do enough. And, I mean, maybe he was thinking, oh, I threatened him with Wisp, so surely he won't stay in, but I don't know. I really don't know what the thought process is. Is he trying to catch a Swords Dance, maybe, on the Weezing switch? That's, I think, the only line that comes to mind. I just don't think he would do that at this state of the game. Like, you'd be able to get enough damage off, I believe, on the Goro to put it in range of Pyroar afterwards. So, like, even if this thing boosts up, I think what you then do is you sack something, go back to Weezing, trade Sludge Bomb damage, and then you just go Pyroar and Hyper Voice, and Bullet Punch will not kill. So, I don't know if that's just him overthinking the Pyro sequence or what. Anyhow, he's not even out of the game, by the way. There ends up being some room for him to come back and maybe steal it back. We'll talk about it when we see it. Victory Bell will wall this Scrafty forever. This Mon just is simply not going to break Victory. This is why I love Psychium Z on DD Scrafty, by the way. It's such a funny tech, especially because I have had so many games where people just let you use the Psychium, because it's not common, man. Scrafty wants a lot of moves. Psychium Z Zen Headbutt is just not really something that people think of immediately, because, yeah, it's kind of niche. But it's fun to me. It's fun to me. Stoiz reveals that it was Ice Beam the whole time, which makes sense. This team gets melted by Alolan Exeggutor. So he gets a little bit of chip on the Victory, and it's actually really huge. Because if he's ever going to try to win this game with Scrafty, he needs to get rid of Victory Bell. Like, look at Scrafty. If Victory is gone, it actually looks like he can just win the game. Wisp there sucks, by the way. I didn't even notice, by the way, first watch is lefties. Is it Wish Pass? Ooh. The Stoiz comes out, and this is what I mean, right? If you double the arrow here, you're in a great spot, because you know Victory's always coming out. So he doubles the arrow. I really think, though, what you have to do with the full health pile of sand that can keep coming in, and even a Stoiz that can come in, I really think you have to Pursuit Trap. It does kill from this range. It does over 50. Metallica just doesn't pull the trigger, though. And so, unfortunately for him, he loses one of his best chances of actually trapping and removing the Victory Bell. And what we're going to see in this turn, he doesn't pull the trigger on the double switch. He allows a Strength Sap, so now the Victory's back to a huge amount of HP. And, yeah, I'm just skipping turns because this is... Y'all don't need to see all this. And although he's going to end up still weakening the Victory Bell a little bit, he isn't getting it in that same KO threshold. So Victory Bell now is out of range of a Pursuit. And Scrafty can come back in here now. You can double switch again back to your arrow. But now, when he does pull the trigger on a Pursuit Trap, it doesn't kill. 57, by the way. It was perfectly in range. So, now it's just kind of like, Dodge Sleep Powder is insane, by the way, and he does actually kill the Victory Bell. It's just, you could have had a cleaner line. Now, for what it's worth, if he had successfully Pursuit Trapped the Victory, did he lose the game? Maybe. Because Goro would come out, unless this isn't banded, which it's banded, but unless it wasn't banded randomly, maybe. I don't know, though. Yeah, it's tough, because, yeah, Goro would have done this. Sword Stance up on the Pursuit Trap, and now it just literally clicks. Click. Click. And yeah, it gets burned to click. So I don't know, maybe it didn't matter at all, but I hope all y'all enjoyed. Shouts to Mega Abomasnow, very fun mon. If you play Sun and Moon NU and you aren't spamming a Mega Abomasnow, brother, I'm gonna need you to start spamming it. It even beats the eternally Heliolisk spamming. Let me rephrase. It beats the eternally it was what Drudfee, that's what everyone abbreviates his team to. It beats that super commonly spammed Etern team. So there you go. Free win button has been found. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Oh, I almost just tried to close my OBS without actually stopping the recording. I'm so smart. Now, I'll see you all together. Peace.